Hey, it's Shaves, and welcome to another edition of AniTube Digest, where we go over the best and not so best anime YouTube videos to come out this week. From the last time I did AniTube Digest, that or thereabouts, to today, the 3rd of January. I looked dumb. First of the videos that I thought were not good. Yes, that's actually a video I just was like, that could have been a lot better. That I actually am comfortable talking about, because there's always some channels that I watch a video, I'm like, but then I either don't finish it or choose not to talk about it. It is what it is. But I want to talk about a Netflix anime video. I think these guys are more hit or miss than people give credit for. I think some people are a lot more harsher about them, or whatever. But I want to talk about the translator's note, Komi Can't Communicate. And the first thing I thought about when seeing this come up was, the fact that people can't rely on your translations because you can't, I assume because of the video player software or something, but they can't do a lot of translating a lot of the on-screen text. And so maybe I thought this was a video to kind of supplement that or something. I don't know. But no, there's literally 4 titles for this. It's Translator's Note, Komi Can't Communicate, Name Meanings, and Netflix Anime. It's 4 minutes of showing different characters and showing the fact that each of their names have are related to a pun, and that's nice, and that's certainly something to point out, and I think it's interesting. But it does. I mean, I haven't seen Komi-san, but it doesn't seem like this. It seems like this is from the first episode or first 2 episodes or something. It just seems very narrow. In its focus for such a 4-minute video, and there's no narration or anything. There's no person guiding you through this. It's just sort of like an editor thing, taking you through different clips and then pausing it. There's a pause effect, but the video's still going underneath the pause effect. It's not paused. How do you some of it is, some of it was. But I remember distinctly there was one, the first time they paused it, I'm like, it's not pausing. I have to pause it myself. Because also I don't always trust video editors to show something in a long enough amount of time. So I usually pause anyway, which is funny. But yeah, and I don't know, it just seemed kind of awkwardly done, I thought. The clips seemed kind of like, I didn't know why they were showing certain clips and not others, or the bouncing around didn't have a flow or a rhyme or reason to it. And I just think they could have packed a lot more information into this. I like the idea of a translator note, but and also I think it would have also worked a little better if there was someone behind it who was like, hi, I'm someone who worked on this, and here's the challenges we went through, and then just talking about it. I think that would have been more interesting. But maybe it creates accountability for some choice. It puts a name and a face to some creative choice that that's a lot of fans might take notice against. I'm sure I can say this, but I posted something I worked on for Angel Cop, and I was tasked with recreating the Japanese credits. So we have the standard definition, with all the credits and what they looked like in that release, and then we have the clean ED in a new 4K thing. But they don't have any of the credits on them. It's just a clean ED. So I had to recreate all 6 episodes that each of them have different credits, of course. So I had to recreate each one and time it rightly and just recreate it. And one of the things I also did that I shared on Twitter was I did this end card, which is in the original. And there's an original screenshot, but it doesn't show up in the new transfer that we got. So I had to recreate that text as well. And there was somebody who who complained about me not choosing the right font. And I don't know much about Japanese fonts. And it was also just sort of because it was really just a matter of me spitballing and trying to find the best one. I'm like, this seems pretty, but I don't have that knowledge or anything like that. But you look at them side by side and it looks fairly accurate. And then you're like, no, it's not. And then you look really closely and you find a number of these slight differences, which is true. It isn't exact. It's not 1 for 1, but it is the same kanji to my knowledge. I think there is Like maybe be a discrepancy with one thing, but you know what I mean. It's like people will find it and they'll call you, and they'll complain about it, and now they have somebody to complain to, right? Now imagine something on that of a much wider scale, like Komi-san, where there was a lot of people noticing that these things weren't being translated or something, and so putting a name and a face to that is dangerous. Potentially, like they just get a lot of like unwarranted attention, and it's not great. It's the same. It's similar with Caleb Cook, actually, who is very openly known as the translator for My Hero Academia, and he got so much shit that even when he was giving a lot of valuable insight, he shut his complete Twitter down, and he doesn't do it anymore. Completely went off the grid. Still translates for it. Didn't lose his job in that way. Still does it, but now there's no one to take direct shots at in the same way. So it's unfortunate. It's sad that that's and I imagine, I'm just speculating at this point, perhaps that's why there's a lot of anonymity with anime in general. Like when we want to know certain things about the anime production, unless it's explicitly stated in interviews or anything like that, there really isn't a lot that we can actually know. Especially maybe if it's way after the fact, then we're not going to know otherwise. Maybe that's why there's some anonymity to that too, which is also sad. The human beings, am I right? But anyway, I mean, I don't want to be too harsh on this, but like it was just very underwhelming. It was kind of interesting, but I just didn't fully buy into the presentation of it personally. Not just because like it didn't have a person behind it. Like I'm not demanding that. It was like that was the problem with it. I do think you can make a video like this. I just think it should have been paced a little better, packed with more information. It was only going to be 4 minutes. It could be packed. You could have more to it, I think, personally. But that is what it is. Yeah. And I don't know none of these. Okay, now from some videos I thought were decent. They're pretty good. And this first one is from the Urasawa channel, Naoki Urasawa having his own YouTube channel. And then he mentioned how he's like, yeah, you noticed that you didn't really post much. It was because he was working on something kind of big. This is this new project that he's announcing here. And this was also announced on like Twitter and stuff like that. But this is his first, I don't know if it's very first, but like he's releasing a number of his series, including Yawara and 20th Century Boys, and his new series, Asadora, I believe is the name of it, digitally for the first time. And he has been very historically against digitizing of manga, of his work. He doesn't mention the piracy aspect, or like you would think that might be the reason, perhaps. But he actually states a really interesting reason that I actually really appreciate coming from the perspective of a manga artist, that I totally agree with, actually, is the fact that most of these sites, you're going page by page and you're scrolling downwards like single page at a time, and only when there's a 2-page spread, when there's like clearly art on both, you know what I mean, unless it's like a 2-page spread, that's going to be presented as 2, but everything else is single because whatever. But he's like, no, I actually I create these manga with the 2 pages in mind. Like I have the middle of the book, and you open the page and the reader gets an immediate glance at both pages. And so it's trying to give you a feel of that. And then the turn of the page is the same thing, right? Because there's, you're not going to ignore this page. If you're not going to put a twist of some dramatic development over like, if you're reading it, this is hard to do with the camera thing, but like say you're reading this way, you're not going to put the twist right here, you're going to put it on the next page, which is this one, so you turn it and this is the one you read. I don't know if that translates right, left to right. It's this one to this one. I think it's this one. If you're reading, if I was reading this way, that would, but if you're reading this way, which is whatever. Sorry, tedious. I'm not great at brevity these days. I'm just not. as I've been discovering in my Naruto video. Like that, I love it. But like old me, I would be like, what are you doing? Like there's too much text, and don't worry about it. It'll be fine. Because it's like, more work for me. But I'm like, I don't have to worry about that now. if I don't have a relevant thing to show, I'm just not going to show anything, or I'm going to show something, but like it's not as hyper specific as my previous videos have been. Anyway, but yeah, Naoki Urasawa, this is just kind of an announcement video of sorts of that, but I included this here because I just really like his insight hearing about that, as well as the he's like, I want to do it the right way, right? So he's like, in our way, you're going to be able to see both pages at the same time. You know, it's going to be formatted in the way that I would want it to be formatted. But he's like, it's good to be going along with the times and not sounding like a boomer or something. And there's a couple more, you know, he's talking with like the person behind the camera or something. He's like, is that too old fashioned for me to say? You know, things like that. I just like seeing that from an artist like him on a channel like this. And it's fully translated too. Like you just put the captions on like YouTube. And there's automatic, they're not automatic, but there are pretty polished English captions that are pretty satisfactory. So it's great, and I'm really happy with this channel. Even though it's not much of it, right? But I'm just happy he made a video of it, giving his reason. The other reason was color. Because yeah, a lot of it when you're scanning, when a fan scans this stuff, it's usually on a black and white thing, or whatever, and then it's going to be black and white and stuff. And so he's like, no, I want to make sure you actually see it with the color intact, you know, because I did that for a reason. I didn't just, you know, which is great, and I think that's fair. And he's like, you know, nothing's going to beat the paper one for me, but I get that this is sort of like the thing that a lot of people are comfortable with doing now, so I want to make sure there's, you know, yeah, I think that's great. I don't know, just like seeing that from someone who's so vocal of this other camp of being kind of anti-digitalization, starting to embrace it and find, you know, properly articulate why he didn't like it instead of just thing new and bad, thing new therefore bad kind of thing. Yeah, I think it was interesting and good. This was kind of a fun video from ForneverWorld, reacting to my terrible very first Naruto video ever, which is pretty cringe. It is pretty cringe, and it's just funny to watch him like reflect on it, where he was at the time, where the series was at the time, giving a lot of the outside context and his knowledge, and where he's at now type of thing, to showing that growth. I think it is just fascinating because this sort of video isn't something you can find on his channel. He privated it a long time ago. So I also just think it's fun to see creators do this, especially for videos that you can no longer experience for yourself, you know? Yeah, I don't know. I just liked that he did this. I thought it was fun. Yeah, he's this is pretty, got a lot of the trappings, very classic 2010 era anime YouTube, you know? And I don't know, I like looking back on that time too, as you know, it's not something I can look back on per se personally, because I wasn't like I don't even much of a YouTube person. I guess I knew about YouTube and I knew certain things of it, but like I wasn't much of an anime fan either. Definitely, you know, I see stuff on Netflix and stuff, but I wouldn't be like anime fan the way I am now, other when I got into college and stuff. So I wouldn't have seen the majority of or grew up watching all these reviewers and things like that and being there in this community. I think my camera's on an angle. I'm sorry. Oh well. But but yeah, no, I do enjoy this look back, and also seeing ForneverWorld's like kind of growth and stuff. Even though some people may argue he didn't grow that much or something, but I don't know. You can clearly see there's a maturity level from him talking. He's like, "Oh, you're talking trash," or just like, I don't know, you know. I don't know. I enjoy those things. Yeah, I thought it was a fun video. I'm gonna correct the camera now. Okay. I think it's good now. The damn audio also had a thing as well. Let's talk about Beyond Ghibli's video on the Stan's Gate. Stan's Gat, you know. Yeah, so I mean, I haven't seen Steins Gate very much, but I enjoyed the video, of course. I like that he talked from the perspective of watching the visual novel first, or watching it or reading it, I guess. That was interesting. And also I really like the he had showed me it before, like he's like, this is weird, and I'm like, because he does like a fake out with his credits, and it's like in the middle of the video, and I'm like, yes, I mean audiences are gonna know that it's not the end of the video, and they're not gonna actually click off of it like that. You know, especially a lot of them are on mobile and you can see the bar regardless, you know, unless you're like full screen. I don't know. No, so it was fine. And then I like that was actually a good transition point to talk about the broader I was gonna say chaos head science code semicolon the broader universe that Steins Gate's a part of. I forgot it. I'm sorry. But like I like that he talks about that too, and it's very holistic in that way. And I also just like appreciate, as someone who's not writing a succinct video right now, not succinct in the slightest, that he just feels very succinct and sells it on a good basis, you know, and not like going overboard with it or anything, or covering every single character or something. I think he makes it very approachable, because he does talk. I like how the mention of like, you know, it gets good is kind of a for people, where it's like, okay, but like, do I have to sit through a bunch of whatever? And it's like, yeah, I mean, this is coming from my perspective, where I just finished all of Naruto, and now I'm just starting One Piece. I'm watching 3 episodes a day of that, so 21 episodes a week, and 90 episodes a month, give or take. Yeah, it's a lot, but like, it's not even me waiting for it to get good. I'm just sort of experiencing it, and there's a beginning, and then there's a more of it, and there's, you know, and there's low points and there's high points too. And I don't know. It's, for me, it's like, you know what you signed up for, you know? I think a lot of people love this series. They love One Piece, or they love XYZ that happens to be really long. Like Umineko, for example. An example that neither of, you know, not that what Joe's talking about or what I'm currently going through as kind of a bias or whatever, but you take something a little long like Umineko, which is this huge light visual novel, and you know, it probably has a similar thing where there's a lot of it, and maybe it gets good or something, but then, you know, maybe Umineko fans would be like, actually it's good right from the beginning. And you could say the same thing about One Piece or maybe Steins Gate, but it doesn't. The problem is that the audience isn't engaged with the media yet, because they're new to it. That's literally anything. You know, something might be your jam, and you're gonna like it regardless. Which is, you know, if you're a mecha fan, or you have certain tastes or something, something's gonna hit immediately if it does apply to that sort of thing. But for the most of the time, no matter how long a series is, you're going to like get into, like, it's gonna take you a little time to get into it, and you have patience for that. And which I appreciate that Joe appreciated. You know, he's like, yeah, just need some patience, and it's well worth your time. You know, this whole thing of like, my time, it's like, I don't know, you spend a lot of time like scrolling through YouTube or Twitter or Reddit, whatever a lot of us do, right? There's a lot of time wasters we do, and that's fine. And not all of us are very good at optimizing our time or something. So it's like, why stress about it then? You know, at least that's my perspective. I've been perfectly fine, you know, that's just me. But what was I going with that? You need patience for these things. You're not going to get it. Yeah, there was one anecdote I was thinking of that reminded me of, who was it? I think it was someone on my Discord. They watched Future Boy Conan, and they were watching it with somebody who was like, I don't know, I'm not really feeling it right now in like episode 1, but by the time they finished it, they're like, oh, I love Future Boy Conan. You know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly it. It is just like, you just get into these things, you know? And if you don't, and it takes for the whole time, which was the case with me in Gintama, for example, there were still moments in Gintama where, like, long stretches, I did not give a fuck. I was completely shut off and not like, you know, kind of a chore or whatever. But I was determined to watch all of it. Because that was the thing I decided to do, and the thing I set myself up for. It's like, you know, you find the negative points of a New Year's some kind of resolution that you've made that takes a long commitment. You know, there's going to be parts or days where you don't want to do it. There's plenty of weeks where I don't want to do digest or something, but I know that it's really worth doing it every week, or doing it as often as much every week as I can, because it rewards itself in the long run. I've made a lot of acquaintances and talked about a lot of great, you know, this has guided me to watching a lot of great videos and informing my own perspective, and me getting better at being on camera, even though I don't know if I've gotten better or not. I really don't know. I mean, I still ramble a lot. I don't know how better or worse I've gotten. But you know, I don't know where that was going either.
I should wrap up what I was saying about Gintama. In my case with Gintama, like I didn't end up liking the show as a whole, even when I finished it, where I got to the parts where people are like, it gets good and stuff like that. There were some parts that I liked, but the whole thing, I was just, it wasn't really my thing. But the value in watching that for me was, understanding what it was and why people like it. And there's no question in my mind of like, I wonder if I did. I don't like leaving things hanging like that personally. But even still, the fact that when I watched one episode of Gintama a day, I used that to also watch an episode of these other long shows, including Ojamaja Doremi, which is my fourth favorite anime of all time. I love that show, and I probably wouldn't have gotten it as quickly incentivized to watch that 200 episode show if I wasn't also watching this other show that I was watching an episode a day of, and I was like, you know what? Let's watch an episode of Ojamaja Doremi along with it, and other things like that. I watched plenty of shows like that, and so I mean, it has its own value in that way. So even if something isn't really like doing it for you on its face, I think there could be other potential benefits for it. That's just my perspective, at least when it comes to long running things. Yeah, that's where I was. You try to find the good about something, basically. That would be my call.
Damn, I'm sorry. Sorry it wasn't much about your video, Joe. Of course it was good. And oh my god, you had this gorgeous AMV at the beginning. It wasn't like a whole AMV type of thing, but it was sort of like using the clock ticking and the narration and the synchronicity of the music, but you're still it's still going with it. Gorgeous doll. I'm sorry. I don't know. Yeah, no, it was fantastic. You know it. Yeah. That's my Oshimai. No, it's great, and he is looking for new shows to check out, and I burdened him with a list of 10 of some of my favorites. I didn't list like my top 10 or anything that like I know Joe hasn't seen. Like I didn't give him Ojamajo Doremi, even though I think yes, that'd be good too. And it's because the ones that I listed, I'd be like, I'm picturing myself watching a Beyond Ghibli video of this show, of like watching a Beyond Ghibli cover Legend of the Galactic Heroes, watching him cover Wolf's. Like I'm like, dude, you'd kill it. You'd kill that bit. Like, oh my god. Oh, I'd love it so much. Unless you didn't like the show. and then I don't know if I'd like it or not. As these things go, I suppose. No. But yeah, I'm looking forward to what your audience is consenting. Maybe you put up a poll or something on your Patreon or something. On your Patreon. Anyway. Yeah, but I'm looking forward to more of that coming in the coming year. It's great. I'm so bad at this. Secrets of anime localization revealed at Anime New York Comic Con for Bruce Juice. I actually heard about this panel. I didn't know that was what this video was covering, but I did hear about this when it was happening, and people were quote tweeting in like, "Wow, this is really cool" or whatever. Got a lot of really huge names like Zach Davidson and Lindsay Leverage is also in it, I believe. Although I like that Bruce Juice is, covering certain people, and I like the things that he decides to focus on here. I appreciate that he recorded all of it, and it's in the description. I didn't go so far as to listen to all of it, although I certainly want to at some point. I do think it's very interesting. And yeah, I really like his coverage of this, and it's actually feels like more of like giving this panel the platform more so than Bruce Juice injecting his take and disagree or something like that. And he's like, oh, I was surprised at this, or it just felt a lot more hands off almost, which I think is good. I think he's just sort of like guiding you through this. I'm like, oh, this is what I saw, and this is what I've discovered, and what I thought was interesting, type of thing, without like giving like his hot take or something like that. I think he illustrates it very well in the video too, for just having just a couple of photos and the audio recording. I think it's a really good looking video too. I like all the quotes and the framing that's kind of repetitive but sticks in the audience's mind in that way. And some of the little like the localization with the onigiri thing with the jelly donut, like that's clever. All that stuff is great, and I just think it's a really well made video. I really enjoyed it. I just think it's very informative and good. Nice length too. And best of luck on launching your Patreon. Or I don't know if it's launching it or you just happen to be shilling it again or something. I don't know. I'm sorry I don't follow your content that closely to recognize it. But yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it. I'm sorry I don't have too much to say else about it. I think it's pretty much. Well, I have to say it speaks for itself. I'm like, that's such a lame fucking. Such a lame. Come on, man. No, I appreciate it. I also appreciated like his perspective of like the convention itself because it was his first time going to something like that. That was really cool. Yeah, I liked it. I liked it as these things do. It was good. All right. Now what I thought were the best videos of the week. The ones I thought were like, woo! Yay. I think I've done that before. Oh well. This first one, I'm subscribed to RebelTaxi. I've made this caveat before where it's like, unless it's like very explicitly anime, like, oh, he's talking about Ranma 1/2 or something, then like I will know that it's anime, but otherwise I'm just going to assume it's a Western thing. And it's technically a Western thing, but there is a lot of anime influence in anime, like in manga, Japanese sorts of things, and I just really enjoyed the video overall. Anyways, someone pointed it my way, is like, oh, you should probably check this out. I'm like, oh yeah, sure. And I'm very glad that they did, because yeah, this is fantastic. I really liked RebelTaxi's handling of this too, because this is like kind of a bummer and kind of a downer with like charting a creator's life, and it was kind of cut short. Like he passed away in 2016. Didn't get to make a whole lot, even though he was like extremely talented and creative and very ahead of his time too. I liked RebelTaxi's point that he was making this stuff in the 80s and people were taking note of it, and he was getting media attention for it, even in the time before YouTube. This is something that like all of us are doing, but he was doing it in the 1980s, you know. But like not like YouTube per se, but he was doing animations. He was doing stop motion animation, and it's a really talented guy. And this is something, it's sort of really ahead of his time type of thing. And he got so many opportunities with even to publish in a Japanese magazine. Like it was part of an anthology, but he was like one of the first. It seems like he may have been one of the first non-Japanese people to be publishing in a magazine like this, and it was really early on, like 80s, early 90s, like late 80s perhaps. At least it seemed. I don't remember the year specifically. I just really liked RebelTaxi charting all of this stuff, all to, you know, give all the context for Dominator the movie, as well as talking about the production around it and the circumstances where this creator was diagnosed with lung cancer in the middle of this production. And he actually got this incredibly experimental surgery that saved his life, that he was able to continue and actually finish the movie. And he was able to live a couple more years. Like they said he had 8 months to live. And this movie came out in 2003. Like, so this was like 2002 when this happened. And because of the surgery, he was able to at least live a few more years till 2016, which is nice. It's better than 8 months. Like, but it's still like really tragic. This is similar to like Jim Henson, where like he was sort of like creating on a time limit, you know, which is like the Defunct Land video where he's like he was running out of time and stuff like that. But yeah, no, this was really fantastic. Despite like the movie itself seems really awful. It just seems like a very kind of ugly looking and nonsensical and cheap looking, and all the things you can levy against it. But giving all the context beforehand and all the where this character comes from and how talented he was and how ahead of his time he was in these areas and stuff, and then of course the context of the movie of like they only gave him this much time, this much money, this much people to work on it. You know, of course it came out like this. And I really like the quote he ends with at the it's a couple quotes. Yeah, like he ends with a video clip of the creator being, I'm sorry I keep forgetting his name. It's like Tony Luke or something, I think. But he was like, you know, I welcome anyone to try it who has the same budget, the same time, and the same amount of people. Go ahead and try that. make something of that caliber, you know, of this whole special. I think it may have been, I don't know how, I remember how long it's supposed to be. I think it's like 20. No, I don't know. It was mixed up with a couple of other things that he did. He was really his whole body of work, which is incredible. And I just like the tact that RebelTaxi brought to this, with while still maintaining a lot of his crassness and humor and things. And he's like, I really love like how life fulfilling the ending of this video seems to be, where it's like, I don't know why I made this, because nobody else would, you know. And he's sort of like championing this sort of story, which is my shit. I love that. I love that, really. And kind of life affirming, and is like, go out and fucking do it, live your life. Quote, you know, having that quote. This actually has quotes from Jonathan Clements, because Clements was close friends with him, because he's a UK based. I don't know if I mentioned that. I'm sorry. So he's UK based. And so Clements is actually quoted a couple times in this video, which is interesting. And all the British quotes are voiced by Larry Bundy. I don't remember. I think it's Larry something. It's a collab. You know, it's another YouTuber, and he has like this very British accent. And I was reading the Clements quotes with the accent. I'm like, I think that's spot on. I bet that sounds just, I don't know. I just think that's funny. Yeah, and you know, they end with that. It's like, just live your life, to make cool shit, or you know, whatever. And don't give up. Challenge again at the end with the. I think you know, RebelTaxi's ended a couple of his videos like that. It was just really good. I just had a really great time with it. Really well done. Excellent video. Craftsdwarf, once again, with just the quality content. Is Kill la Kill a magical girl series? Not really, but will entertain the thought. You know, talking about, arguing this idea, and not like being super like anti or whatever, you know, not being like clutch your pearls, it's not, or something. The way I think some of these discussions can be handled sometimes, for people who have a position like this, perhaps. So, like, example of is Madoka deconstruction or not type of thing. I think it can get very heated and defensive, but you know, Craftsdwarf is it's not his thing. He doesn't do that, you know, which I really appreciate. But I really liked the video in general. I think it's like, it's not as much of his like conjecture, and I was certainly reflecting that on my own making of my Naruto video right now, where I am doing a lot of this sort of prescriptivist, I don't know the name, prescriptivist, like whatever. I am doing a little bit of that too in my Naruto video, of just like defining this genre of, if you know what I mean, if you know where that's going, which I'm sure people have like already settled this years ago. Oh, I had that discussion in 2018 or 2016 or 2014 or 2011. Like, of course, you know. But I don't know, and I think I have enough knowledge, and I'm not just ascribing it to one series or something, the way that Craftsdwarf talks about here, and the way that it happened with this series, where Cutie Honey is also labeled as a magical girl series for a lot of people, because it perceives to have the things that Sailor Moon has, even, and it's like, oh, it just had it before those. It's the you know, magic girl series before Sailor Moon, and he's trying to create that. And Craftsdwarf really makes a great case here, as well as using a source from this like research paper, or this other article that someone else wrote, where they don't even mention Cutie Honey at all. So they're not even considering it really a magical girl series, at least according to Craftsdwarf. In its absence, it's like, oh, therefore, you know. But it's more of like, why didn't they include it? That's weird. Let's think that through. And I really think it's because of where Cutie Honey is taking the influences from, which is even beforehand, which is transforming the transforming genre of, like, you know, Sentai and Devilman and all these other things, and the action and everything. There's a lot of elements that Cutie Honey has and hallmarks that magical girls up to Sailor Moon did not have. So, like, doesn't really count in that way. And then it's like, well, there's no doubt that Sailor Moon is so it's like, couldn't you say that Sailor Moon codifies those things? But you know, he's saying that like those things are not being taken from magical girl. People are like confusing that, oh, Sailor Moon has these transformations and it deals with like physical attacks and things like that. therefore it's taking it from Cutie Honey. Whereas he's saying that now the author of Sailor Moon explicitly takes it from Sukabandeka and Sentai series, Tokusatsu specifically. Like, she cites that and not Cutie Honey particularly. And it's kind of chalked up to coincidence pretty much. And by that metric, Kill la Kill has a lot more to do with Cutie Honey than it does with Sailor Moon or with any of the conventional magical girl series that we're aware of in the 80s and so forth. He cites some quotes from Nakashima where he doesn't really mention magical girls, or Imaishi doesn't really mention magical girls, but you can clearly see that a lot of the staff who worked on Kill la Kill also worked on Cutie Honey, and there's even like a plot, there's even like a synopsis, not a synopsis, but like a lot of similarities in plot between two aspects of Cutie Honey and Kill la Kill. So those two are clearly connected, but then the argument becomes, is Cutie Honey a magical girl series? And I think the end point that Craftsdwarf is getting towards, that I completely agree with, and the reason I would want to be defining these myself, and the reason I would still want to move forward with what I've been making when it comes to Naruto and Battle Shonen. It's like no, yeah, I'm sure. The reason I'm doing that is so that we can better understand these series and understand why they're popular and understand why this is a thing. But we don't want to accidentally give credit to another genre when it's not. That's like if we say that Kill la Kill is a magical girl series, you're going to start to look at magical girl series and be like, where's the Kill la Kill? Because it's not there. There actually isn't a whole lot there, at least according to Craftsdwarf. They're not really. There's a lot more in transforming series like Super Sentai and that kind of hero genre, the transforming hero genre, right? That's a lot where it's coming from. So we need to be telling people that it's not like, it's less so that this is a magical girl series. This is a play on the transforming hero, Sukabandeka, Tokusatsu, that sort of thing, so that people can go back to those series. You're basically trying to redirect them in the right direction, right? And that's something we want to do to have a better understanding of everything. You don't want to just direct people to Dragon Ball when it comes to Battle Shonen. You want to direct them to Ring ni Kakuro and Kinnikuman. And or maybe there's another one. Maybe there's another older one that we don't even know much about, right? There could be something else there, right? And or other things that are not directly related to the magazine, right? And there's that whole thing. You just kind of want to be able to direct people to the right place in order to have a more accurate, fuller understanding of things. Because if we're just going to make stuff up, and then we're just kind of the discourse gets diluted, basically, is what I'm kind of taking from this video. Which I think it's very well articulated, thorough, while still being fairly brief, not exhaustive. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just being very self-conscious. My confidence is it's not waning. I still really like what I wrote. I'm just like being a little more honest with my feelings and be like, that's a lot. That's a lot of writing you got there. How many words is that? How long is that going to be recording? How big of a video is this? Right? If you've made videos before. Anyway, yeah, great video. I think it's very spot on, and I'm hoping that I don't run into similar problems with what I'm doing. Hopefully, I'm trying to have the awareness of that. Still want to have fun though. Kind of a similar video actually. More than I think about it. Translating Japan. Hot off the press here. Doujinshi, Japan's most misunderstood medium. Oh, look. I mean, clearly he is in the same circles as Joe from Pause and Select and Cineclinic and Gil, because he's recommending you a Gil video at the end. I saw literally Joe, Cineclinic, and Gil. It's like, guys, watch this video. I know he's in your Study of Swords as well. Like, he recommends a Study of Swords video, which Study of Swords is also in that Discord and in that group that kind of, and that's great. more of those people, please, because they clearly make good shit. Like, Translating Japan, he's making incredibly good shit here. It doesn't post very often. That's okay. I didn't check out his first video, but this second one, this new one that came out, I was just like, man, I hope he's making more this year. Oh man, what a good creator. I just really liked his on-screen presence in particular. I just like how focused and calming and natural it was, but also kind of has like, here's business mode, which is very like focused and like giving you the good information and stuff. And then there's sort of like casual, like more down to earth, and which happens more at the end of the video where the video is kind of over and he's really like, if we want to move on to a different thing, there's this anime here. It's fine. And then like Study of Swords in the Gills video, which is harrowing, and he's also very gay. And like that stuff is, it's just really like nice. It's like nice. But like he keeps a lot of the he keeps all of that sort of like playfulness at the end of the video, and the majority of the video is very like, hey guys, they don't know. I don't think the community really understands doujinshi. I think they all think it's porn. That's not quite right, but it's a lot more complicated, and he goes into multiple different ideas. I really appreciate the summary at the end. I wish more anime YouTubers did that, actually. I should probably do that. That's a smart idea. Why didn't anyone? I was like, why didn't I think of that? No, but I'm starting to. I have to put it higher. I'm sorry. Okay, it seems fine. All right. Yeah. Now my head's too. I'm just too picky. Yeah. Like I like how natural it was. Where was I? Fuck. Right. The summary. I loved that. Thank you. But like the rest of it, it just really did feel like a lot like the kind of content that Joe is making, or that Cineclinic is making, that Gil has made in the past. Didn't really upload a lot. That's okay. I'm happy he's still around and everything. It's not like he's cutting himself off and leaving the internet forever or something like that. That's okay. You just make your thing. It's fun. But yeah, like this was fantastic and kind of what I was, almost what I was expecting when all these other guys are like, guys, this video is really good. I'm like, hell yeah. I think it's also really smart that I think it's just a good thing to bring up. I think it's just a very smart, and I'm very much looking forward to this introduction to doujinshi, because you clearly know what you're talking about. I've done incredibly good research. I think the footage you show is really great. Some of the edits is really. I didn't even realize, like, I literally like was looking at the comments and like, what's that thing you did at 4 minutes? The transition of 4 minutes. And this After Effects plugin, and I didn't even like register it as like, wow, fancy edit or something. I just kind of took it as so natural, because again, this is just something a lot with what Pause and Select does, right? With the ink split and kind of revealing the thing at 4 minutes. I don't know. That some commenter pointed out. But yeah, like I just really enjoyed that. Really polished, very informative, fun, good, very, very good, like very, very good video. And then I think my biggest hope is just please make more. Oh my gosh, I hope you liked making that video. I hope the reception was encouraging, and that you're motivated to make more. It's completely up to you. I don't want to act like YouTube or something and be like, yeah, what else you got? I don't want to be like that. I just really enjoyed what you make here, and I think there's more to be had, and hopefully you have fun making them. That's really important at the end of the day, really. That I hope you take away from it in that regard, I guess. But anyway, yeah, I just really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for making this video. Yeah, I don't know how to end these anymore. It's a shame. Yeah, great video. Please subscribe to him, by the way. Oh my god. And for the best of the week is the best 10 of, oh my gosh, what? So Femboy Films, at first I was gonna be like, oh, they uploaded this complete OVA that's like this new restoration that was like, I think it was maybe like lost or something. I don't remember. Or maybe it wasn't really lost, but it's just like a new restoration of something. It was nice. But this is especially interesting. So like this was like a TV special, but they filmed it like with real nice film, and they were able to get it's 35 millimeter, and they completely restored it, the whole thing. This includes commercials, so there's like really interesting of the time commercials that are just really nice in 4K and this really polished restoration and stuff, which is really interesting. It's not translated yet. I'm very much looking forward to it being translated because I just think there might be some more interesting stuff in here. But even on a visual level, the set is like, I just want to talk about the special itself for a second because this isn't something that Femboy Films themselves made, but they did get it available and an incredible restoration. And the quality certainly is a factor of the enjoyment for sure. If it's like, wow, it looks incredible, or just like, because this stuff usually, when we talk about stuff from before the 90s, and never mind 1980, basically just the culmination of the 1970s at this point, to see something this quality and seeing some of these creators this young, but in such like high definition, I guess. I don't know. It's just something really exciting and cool. But in terms of the special itself, the set that they're on is gorgeous. Oh my God. I never thought, like, it's so funny because like it's this gorgeous posh like set, like living room type, and then kind of futuristic a little bit too, but it's got a bunch of anime posters all over it, and it's like it's classy otaku room or whatever. It's like I never thought that was possible. And then but like it's also like a lot of like older titles, of course, because this is like, it's not old at the time because like all the posters are from like 1978 or 1979 and 80. Like they have Ideon, like several Ideon posters and things like that. But like a lot of stuff that were happening at that time. But like it's retro for us, but it's like the newest thing for that. And it's so cool. I love just watching it on that basis alone, even if I can't even understand anything they're saying, or the fact that this is like just like a top 10 whatever, and like some songs and some footage, and like on an objective level, like apparently like I'm sorry if this is like a private conversation, or I mean I talked with my boss about it, and he was like, you'd be pissed if this was if this was like shown in theaters, or if this was like on Netflix, you'd be pissed. I'm like, no, I wouldn't. I would love but I'm a psychopath, I guess, I mean, like, find this interesting. No, I love this. Are you kidding? Like, this is reminding me of like Get Back, which is the Beatles documentary that was like a bunch of archival footage. It's like, it's not driving. It's not like this plot or something. Like it's 2 hours. It's over 2 hours. All 3 episodes are over 2 hours. So it's like close to 7 or 8 hours of a documentary, and the majority of it is just them dicking around or just talking and being casual, and you're just watching them in their environment, And it's like, that's so compelling though, because that band doesn't exist anymore. 2 of them have been dead for over 40 years, And it's like, this is, I don't know. I was incredible. I was just really compelled by it. I just loved that documentary. And this had kind of a similar feeling, I guess, where it's like, this is capturing a moment in time that we didn't know we had, especially the fact that there was this I think it was like, we knew about this pilot for Dr. Slump, but we'd never seen it before. And oh my gosh, and so you just see a lot of like prototype, looking like a Raleigh-chan, but like it's not quite. It's like different. And there's some comparisons people have been showing. There was a previously undiscovered, I guess, or just like new footage for Galaxy, what I think is Galaxy Express 39. I think it looks like Tetsuro, the main character there, and it has Leiji's style and everything. And I'm like, what else could it be? It's probably 39. But yeah, like that was stuff, and it was a gorgeous little piece of Sakuga there, like a little piece of really a lavish animation, gorgeous. Oh my God. Yeah, it had so many like surprises, and obviously it's caked in this whole top 10 thing, which like there's a couple bit of underwhelming things about it, because there's certain titles that show up and they're like, ooh, sorry, we don't have the rights for that. We don't have the rights for Ashita no Joe, so we can't show anything. Even though like Joe shows up a couple times in this movie, of like on a magazine cover, like a commercial for Animage. There's this little girl and she pulls up a magazine, and it's just Joe on the cover, as well as a little Daitarn 3 thing on the back end, which is, oh my gosh, I don't know. It's just, I love it, man. I like it a lot. I'm super awkward in these, aren't I? I don't know why you guys watch me. Anyway, man, no, it's gorgeous, and I loved. Also, the music's really fun. Seeing the different the live performances, even though it's probably lip synced. I'm like, this sounds very, 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 very similar to the OP. Like the actual like it just sounds like you played the OP, and the singers are kind of singing over it, but it kind of seems like that. It's okay though, because like seeing their performances and the way they I didn't know the guy who sings the Harlock the Yamato OP looks that young, or maybe he is fairly older, but he just looks really young. I don't know. I just was expecting a much older guy, picturing it in my head when I hear the Yamato OPs. But he's just like this kind of like late 30s, early 40s. It seemed. Maybe I'm totally off the mark, and he's actually way older. I don't know. At the time, but like, yeah, I don't know. This is some stuff that was really interesting, and loved it. Loved it. Oh, also there's like footage of fucking Ishinomori and Leiji Matsumoto in here, and I'm like, holy shit, that's incredible. I don't know. I was just like fascinated by that. Yeah, it was fantastic. Loved this. You should definitely check this out. I'm very happy they restored it and gave it for everybody to see. Looking forward to it being translated. That would be. I will be more than willing to watch it all over again for that. All right, and that'll do it for this first installment of the year of AniTube Digest. Thank you very much for watching. You guys are great. You have a great week. Yo, peace.